Welcome back to Tempa Customs, and on this episode, the goal that we have been striving for in the past few months, but honestly since we bought Ruby and got her set up, was to get these Nerf bars that I bought over half a year ago and mount them onto Ruby. Couple reasons. First and foremost is because I love the look. Rusty's got very similar bars on him, but he's actually got CJ bars. These are off of a TJ, so they mount slightly different, but I can't use that mounting style on Ruby anyway, so I'm going to have to customize and fab some custom mounts for it. I personally just like the look. It gives me that 90s vibe, and that's what I like on this Jeep. The other thing is Katie has a hard time getting into Ruby because of how tall she sits. So I have to bring a step stool with us wherever we go. So hopefully with the Nerf bars and the windshield bars, it'll make it a lot easier for Katie to get in and out, and we won't have to travel with the step stool. So let me gather up some of the odds and ends we're going to need for this project, and we will start figuring out how to fab it in. What we're going to be using or attempting to use on this project is we have the factory brackets. These mount to the end of the tube, and there's one on each end, and then again on the TJ, these would have factory going up underneath into the tub, I'm assuming, because obviously these are set. You know, if you didn't already have a spot for these, why would it have these two holes? So I'm assuming that's how this went. I guess it could have gone the other way on the tubing, but I do not believe it does, just because there's only one hole in the tube. I guess you could adjust the height though. It really doesn't matter how we do it. If I need to lower it, I guess I could use this as a lowering tube. I didn't get instructions with these, even though we'll figure it out again. It doesn't really matter. Whether I go through this hole or this hole, as long as it gets where I need it to be, it's fine. The other thing we're going to be using is this square tube with all the holes in it. We're going to cut it into currently 4 1-foot sections. I think that's give me more than enough that I need to come off of the body mount frame rail pieces to mount this strong enough I can hit a couple of holes far apart and make an angle on it that it should hold itself in there really well. I've had these Nerf bars for so long, I've gone over about 1,000 times the best way of doing this. And I think I've come up with that this is going to be the best way to mount the Nerf bars. These might get welded to here. Again, I haven't decided. This almost fits here if that's how it goes. I can cut an angle into it. Again, I haven't figured out that part yet. We're going to use the jack stands that I have here to get the Nerf bar kind of where we want it, height-wise, and that should work. Ruby is sitting on a flat surface, not a level surface, but that shouldn't matter. As long as we go up 7 clicks on each of these, the angle of the driveway, Ruby's at the same angle. So I'm on slabs of concrete that aren't broken. As long as they were poured halfway decently level or flat, it will be close enough for what I need to do. So and there's adjusters, so it's fine. So let's get this set up here and kind of get an idea of what we're doing. Hopefully you can see what we are doing over here. I think you can. It's really hard with the lighting today. So we want these to be, well, first off, let's measure this. Center to center on these tubes is 43 1/4. Inside to inside edge on this, which is what I plan to use, is 45. Okay. This one could give me a little bit of a trouble. This one could give me a little trouble now that I have that plate up there. But we'll see. we can probably work around it. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4th is sitting. 1, 2, 3, 4th is sitting. So that is not a terrible height. It's not a terrible height right there. Just threw some paper towels on here just because I'm going to scratch these up if I don't, and I don't need them to rust immediately. I mean, they're going to rust, but that's kind of how we want it. Height isn't bad. The step out isn't. You can get your foot under it without a problem. I guess I'd come up probably, let's come up one more click and take a look at it. I don't know what the clicks are as far as height-wise. There's probably no way to know. It's not bad either. Let's go up another one. 1, 2. 1, 2. That's probably a better look, honestly, to what I want. It's still saving you on the step in almost a foot. It's 10 3/4 inches. So almost a foot of having to go over top of this rail to step back down. You still get your toe underneath it without a problem. Yeah, I think that's where we want it. I think, and when I say we, I mean me, but yeah. With the installment of the 3rd jack stand, it kind of gives us our level. I think we're kicked up just a hair, maybe. Not too much. I'm going to measure out from the frame. About 12 inches. Where does this frame begin to curve? Yeah, this is gonna be a difficult one because we can't use the frame there because it's already curving from here. We're almost just gonna have to eyeball it off of this gap here. So look how close that one is to fitting. And if I put that pipe right here and come out, I might be able to put a bend in it to hold it, possibly. That one will be easy. This one back here is super close as well. Like real close to being where it has to fit. The other option is that I just make a plate for these to bolt to, and which might actually be better, just gives me a little more room to play. If I put a 45 or whatever this angle is on my tubes, if I put an angle on my tubes like this, and then weld it to a plate flat here that makes this angle, and screw into it, that might be the stronger option. I'm going to cut that square tubing and see what we come up with, because now I'm not 100% certain how we're going to connect these. I'm going to attempt to get this angle by clamping this pipe to the frame with this, then using a 2x4 and a Sharpie to get us the angle off the frame. And I can't do that with holding the camera, and I can't find my little tripod. So in about 2 seconds for you, it'll be clamped in and we'll do the mark. That did not go at all how I wanted it to go because I couldn't get the clamp up, and then I had to use 2 hands and a foot to get this mark. That's probably not right, but I think that's close to the angle. I'm going to move it over here more though. I'll just shift it over with some tape, a tape line. So we're coming through the angle here and basically do the same thing down to here. So it'll be closer to that angle. Let me do that and cut it, and then we'll come back and see if I got it even near close. There's our cut. Let's see if that works how we wanted it to work. So that's kind of there, nice and square. And it comes to the bottom of this mount here. Kind of like that. So if you take the reverse of that angle down this direction, like that, let's see how that does. I've got this piece cut to there. It's not 100% in line, but we'll adjust as needed. As easy as this might be to believe, this has already taken me close to an hour just to get that angle where I needed it to be able to be matched with this angle here. And we are really close to this here. I need to then make a round mounting plate or something, disc of some sort, to go behind here, or just cut the tabs off the other plate and then put it on there. It's actually not a bad spot for it at all. This side here I haven't touched yet to figure this out. Unfortunately, it's lost audio again, and I'm not quite sure why, but we were trying to make sure we could get the bolts, access to the bolts, and get everything lined up to the to look correct from the from looking out, and get our gap correct, because it wasn't correct here a little bit. So that's what we were doing right here. not sure what was going on with some of the clips didn't get audio, some of them did. This is the front bar tube, and it's welded way better than the one you're going to see here in a second. But the other one here had a much larger gap I had to fill. And once I cleaned it up, it wasn't terrible. I mean, it's a strong enough weld for what we were doing with it. And then I had to cut a hole in it to get the bolt in, but that's what I do in the next part here. I'll get access to get the bolt put in, and then we'll go take and put it up underneath Ruby and see how they fit. So I got the bolts in. They're kind of loose. Just showing the welds here. I did clean up the welds a little bit. Again, they weren't terrible. They were full penetration. There was a little bit of porosity in it, but I think that was because it was kind of windy, and whenever the wind blew, you could tell that the welds were getting worse. Everything's still kind of loose. I have all the bolts kind of loose just so everything lines up. And you'll see here that the bolts that anchor it to the frame go in pretty well. One of them was a little tighter. I don't know if the tubing changed or flexed slightly. I don't think it did. I just think it was just how it sits in there a little bit different. But we're going to go through here and we'll bolt up both sides and tighten them down. And yeah, that's but this clip is just bolting it in, and it actually bolted in really well. So I was very pleased with that. Now that the frame bolts are tight, I went in and these are the access holes I cut to get to the actual tube bolts, one on each side, tighten those down. I should have made them symmetrical. I didn't. That one works for the wrench really well, and the other one, I don't know why I put a hole through the middle of the tube, which Angel will come around here for a second and you'll see. I can get my ratchet down through the middle of it, and I don't know why I did it that way, but it just seemed at the moment that was the way to do it. So just tighten these two bolts down, and once those two bolts are tight, then the Nerf bars are installed completely on that side, other than taking these off to I'm gonna have to paint them, because that just, you know, if you don't, they're just gonna rust really quickly since I've taken all the galvanizing coating off. So just checking to see if it could support my weight, which it can. So I hop up here to check just to see if they can support my weight, and they moved. And I think it was just a little bit of slop in the frame bolts, because after it moved the one time, it didn't move again. And again, you're not supposed to be jumping on them anyway. There's a slight little bit of flex in them, but I think it's the actual tubes flexing more than, I mean, it really is just, from this angle, which I hadn't seen before, it really is just the entire frame rocking back and forth. They're not super thick walled tubes, but for doing what I just did, jumping in and out, they're perfect. They seem to support the weight great. Everything seems to move. Doesn't seem like there's like any kind of a soft or weak spot in any of the design that we did. So I think they're going to work out fantastic. In this clip, I'm kind of just done and just kind of wrapping up the episode and speaking that if I wanted to get this episode out at any point by the time you're going to see it, this was going to have to be the end of it, because the other side is just going to be an identical working of this side. So what I did on this side, I'm going to have to do exactly the same thing on the other side, except it's going to be a little more difficult because I'm going to be a little more precise to make sure that both sides line up. The one side, it's where it is. Now the other side is actually going to have to match this side. So it's going to take a little bit more measuring, but yeah, that was basically, this episode is going to end with this side being done, and just imagine me doing the other side the same. This is pre-Nerf bar. This is how we normally do it currently. Okay, so we stop at the store and I'll have either that or a step stool for her to get into the Jeep. It does work a lot better. Okay, so that's
so much better.
So that's pre-Nerf bar. Next you'll see it with the Nerf bar. So again, this is now no audio, but this is with the Nerf bar and Katie trying out the new Nerf bar for the first time to see if the height is any better for her to get in. Obviously, this is the driver's side, so the steering wheel's in the way, so it's not going to be as easy or the same as it was on the passenger side. But it's going to be close enough to know if it's going to be easier, and you can already tell her knee doesn't have to go as high to get in, and she barely had to use the windshield to pull herself in, which is exactly what we were hoping for, that it would make it a much easier in and out. So yeah, so the Nerf bars were a success for use, and they were a success for the look that I was going for on Ruby. So let's see if I can sync this up. With that, we will end this episode. Thank you all for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope everybody has a great week. Yeah.